When I say they built 96 houses on my land, I don't mean by accident. I mean on purpose. My name's Dakota Flint, 47 years old, structural engineer, divorced, 2 kids, and a truck that burns oil like it's a hobby. Nothing special about me, except one thing. My grandfather left me 47 acres of untouched Colorado forest worth about $4.2 million. I hadn't been there in 3 years. Divorce, kids, 70-hour work weeks. Life got in the way. But I never missed a single property tax payment. Every April, $6,400, paid online, right on time. So when I finally drove up to scatter Grandpa's ashes, I expected pine trees and silence. What I found instead made my stomach drop. The forest was gone. In its place stood 96 Mediterranean-style houses, paved streets, streetlights, fake balconies, and beige HOA-approved paint. A stone sign read, Ridgeline Heights, a Whitmore luxury community. I thought it was a mistake. I checked my GPS 4 times. Same coordinates. This was my land. At the gate, a security guard stopped me. Residents only. I own this property, I said, showing him a photo of the deed on my phone. He smirked. Sure, buddy. And I'm Elon Musk. Then a white Range Rover rolled up, and out stepped Cassandra Whitmore, mid-50s, Botox to perfection, radiating that kind of money where the air around you feels judged. She didn't even look at me at first. This gentleman claims he owns the development, the guard said. Cassandra's eyes scanned my work boots and calloused hands. How charming, she said sweetly. If you're looking for construction work, most crews are full, but I can take your number. I'm not looking for work, I said. I'm the legal owner. My grandfather was William Flint. Her smile sharpened. Our title company ran a forensic search. The land was abandoned for over 3 years. Under Colorado's adverse possession statute, it's legally ours now. Not if property taxes were paid, I shot back. She tilted her head, amused. You know just enough to be dangerous. Then she handed me a business card like it was contaminated. Talk to our attorney, Brian Keir. He'll explain why your claim is, what's the word? Frivolous. Before she left, she snapped a photo of my license plate. Just in case you decide to vandalize anything, she said. People like you don't win against people like us. That night, I laid every document across my kitchen table. Grandpa's 1971 deed, 47 years of tax receipts, every email confirmation. Cassandra thought she'd scared me. But she just handed me everything I needed to bury her. The next morning, I called her lawyer. His receptionist offered me $15,000 to sign a quitclaim deed and walk away. $15,000 for $4 million worth of land. I hung up and called someone else. A name my buddy Marcus had given me, Lydia Chin, a civil attorney who once destroyed a railroad company in an adverse possession case so badly, they offered her a job to make her stop. Her office smelled like old leather and lemon polish, money and control. She listened to every word, flipped through my receipts, then looked up. Colorado law requires 18 years of open possession, and they have to pay property taxes the whole time. You've been paying, right? Every year. She closed the folder. Then their claim is dead on arrival. I exhaled. So we stop construction? She smiled for the first time. No. Let them finish. I stared at her. What? If you stop construction, they'll file bankruptcy. You'll be trapped in court for years with 96 families suing everyone. But if you let them finish, then file for declaratory judgment, you won't just own the land. She leaned forward. You'll own all 96 houses. Cassandra had just built me a neighborhood. The difference between fighting one corrupt developer and fighting 96 families who just bought their dream homes is everything. Lydia's plan was cold, strategic, brutal, and it made perfect sense. How much will this cost? I asked. $40,000 to $50,000 in legal fees, she said. But when we win, and we will win, you'll own all 96 houses. The court will award damages for trespass, fraud, and attorney's fees. You can sell them, rent them, or walk away a millionaire. I had $12,000 in savings. My truck needed a transmission. My daughter's tuition was due in January. Still, I heard myself say, I'll figure it out. Before I left, Lydia added one last warning. Don't contact Cassandra. Don't post online. Don't talk to anyone except your kids and one trusted friend. In property law, surprise is worth more than gold. I hired her that day. Signed a retainer that made my stomach twist. Then the waiting began. September bled into October. Every week I parked my Silverado on the public road, phone camera running. Framers hammered, electricians pulled wire, landscapers rolled sod. The air smelled like diesel and sawdust, and every visit I took timestamped photos. By week 3, Cassandra spotted me. She didn't yell. She just made a phone call, gesturing toward my truck like I was a threat. 20 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up. License and registration, the deputy said. Officer, I'm on a public road. He checked my plates, came back looking uneasy. Mrs. Whitmore says you're harassing her, following her, taking pictures. I'm documenting construction on property I own, I said. Boulder County Records. Parcel 559324008. Owner Dakota Flint. He sighed. Look, it's a civil dispute. But if she calls again saying you're threatening her, I'll have to act. Understand? Translation, she donates to his campaign. I don't. I nodded. He left. I kept taking pictures. By November, the first families moved in. U-Hauls everywhere. Kids on scooters. The smell of pizza and paint in the air. I watched a couple carry a crib into house number 43. Another planted a maple tree. They weren't villains. They were victims. People chasing the American dream on land that wasn't for sale. But Cassandra, she was about to learn that stealing costs more than money. Thanksgiving week, a certified letter arrived. Whitmore Development LLC. The post office clerk Deb frowned. That's that lady building those McMansions, right? My sister tried to buy one. $485,000 for 1,800 square feet. Highway robbery. Inside was a threat, 3 pages of legal jargon from Cassandra's attorney. Cease trespassing or face a harassment lawsuit. A photo was attached. My Silverado parked legally on a public road, circled in red marker. In the margin, someone had handwritten, "Document everything." I drove straight to Lydia's office. She read it, then started laughing, a real, uncontrollable laugh. They're documenting their own fraud, she said. Every letter, every photo proves they knew there was a dispute and kept building anyway. It's gold. Doesn't feel like gold, I muttered. Feels like I'm being stalked. You are, she said calmly. But here's what you're going to do, nothing. Let them waste money. Let them generate evidence. We'll file in January, when everyone's distracted by the holidays. Then she handed me a yellow pad. Meanwhile, find everything on Cassandra Whitmore, property records, business filings, tax liens, anything public. I want to know who's financing this mess. For the next 2 weeks, I became a detective. Turns out, engineers make good investigators. Boulder County records showed Whitmore Development LLC was registered in Delaware, a red flag in itself. Financing came from Ridgeline Capital Group, owned by 3 men, one of them, Cassandra's husband, Preston Whitmore. Preston had a record, lawsuits for fraud, investor scams, construction defects, all quietly settled. This wasn't Cassandra's first con. It was family business. Then I found the smoking gun, their adverse possession claim, filed in March 2022. But they never waited for a judgment, they just started selling lots as if they already owned the land. That wasn't a mistake. That was premeditated fraud. I sent everything to Lydia, encrypted. She called within the hour. Dakota, this is even better than I hoped. If Preston knew about your ownership and built anyway, we can prove criminal intent. Not just civil theft. How do we prove that? Leave that to me. Just keep your head down. Easier said than done. Because on December 3rd, I got a call from Boulder County Code Enforcement. A man named Rick Paulson said, "We've received a report that you're operating an illegal dumping site on parcel 559322408. What? I don't even live there." He sighed. "The complaint mentions debris, old vehicles, possible hazardous waste. If confirmed, fines start at $500 per day." I drove there immediately, camera recording. The property was spotless, except for the 96 houses Cassandra had illegally built. Rick met me at the gate. After walking the site, he shook his head. "There's nothing here. Someone filed a false report." "Who?" I asked. He looked at his clipboard. "Anonymous. But it came from Mrs. Whitmore's office, as a concerned citizen." I stared at him. "So she's trying to get me fined for violations on land she stole." He hesitated, then said quietly, "Off the record, I've inspected 6 Whitmore projects. Every single one had false complaints filed against neighbors. It's a pattern." He handed me his card. "If you need a witness, call me." I kept that card like a bullet in my pocket. Because by then, I understood, Cassandra wasn't just stealing land, she was trying to bury me in bureaucracy. But what she didn't know was that every move she made was digging her own grave. By Christmas, 84 houses were occupied. Families hung lights. Kids built snowmen. And I had a court date, January 12th. January 4th, 8 days before court. I was half asleep when my phone buzzed at 11 p.m. A text from my daughter Emma. "Dad, did you get arrested? Someone posted that you're harassing families. It has 300 shares." My heart stopped. I opened Facebook, first time since my divorce, and there it was. Pinned to the top of Boulder County Community Watch. "Police car light alert. Local man Dakota Flint has been stalking our family-friendly Ridgeline Heights community, taking photos of children, and making residents feel unsafe. He claims to own our neighborhood despite clear legal title. Sheriff's Department aware. Please report any sightings. Protect your families." Signed, Cassandra Whitmore. The comments were a bonfire of hate. People calling me a predator. Someone even posted my truck, license plate circled in red. Caption: "This is his vehicle. Stay safe." My hands shook so hard I could barely type. I called Lydia. She answered instantly. "I saw it. Don't respond. Don't defend yourself. She's calling me a pedophile, Lydia. My daughter's crying." "I know. It's defamation, and we're adding it to the lawsuit. But if you engage, you look guilty. Let me handle this." Cassandra's panicking, she knows we filed. This is her Hail Mary. By midnight the post had 847 shares and its own hashtag #StopDakotaFlint. I didn't sleep. Next morning my boss, Martin, ex-Navy, tough but fair, called me into his office. "Dakota, a potential client Googled us. They saw that post." He sighed. "You're on paid leave for 2 weeks. If it clears, you're back. If not..." Outside, Jenny from accounting saw me coming, and crossed the parking lot to avoid me. That's when I understood, Cassandra wasn't just stealing my land. She was erasing my life. I sat in my truck, called Lydia again. "They're destroying me." "Then we fight back," she said. "I'm filing an emergency restraining order, defamation, emotional distress, interference with business relations. Hearing Monday. But know this, it'll get worse before it gets better." She was right. January 7th. Someone spray-painted, pervert, across my garage door. Police took photos, bored. Any suspects? Check Facebook. That night I slept with a baseball bat beside my bed. January 9th. My daughter Emma called, crying. Someone had met her. "Your dad's a creep. Everyone knows it." I drove to her apartment. She looked at me like I might be radioactive. "Dad, just tell me the truth. Are you stalking people?" I showed her everything, deeds, tax receipts, court filings, Grandpa's note. Her fear turned to fury. She's lying about everything. Everything. Then hit back. Don't just defend, fight. I didn't answer, but her words stayed. January 11th. The night before court. A text came from an unknown number. Drop the lawsuit, or everyone finds out what you really are. I forwarded it to Lydia. She replied. Perfect. Bring your phone to court. Tomorrow we bury them. January 12th. The Boulder County Courthouse smelled like floor wax and nerves. Lydia met me in the hall, navy suit, leather briefcase that could probably stop a bullet. You ready? I wasn't. My only suit barely fit. Do we have enough? We have a nuclear bomb. Inside, Cassandra sat at the defense table, calm as a queen. Her husband Preston, gray hair, $1,000 cufflinks, the face of a man who'd settled 3 fraud suits, sat beside her. When Judge Ramirez walked in, the room froze. Keir, Cassandra's attorney, started with arrogance. Your Honor, the plaintiff abandoned the land. Ramirez cut him off. Did he pay property taxes? Well, yes, but... Then adverse possession fails under Colorado Statute 38-41-101. What else? His confidence cracked. Then Lydia stood. Calm. Deadly. Your Honor, this isn't about abandonment. It's about fraud. She opened her briefcase and slid an email across the table. Exhibit A: internal correspondence between Preston and Cassandra Whitmore, dated February 18, 2022. Keir's face went pale. The judge read silently, then raised her eyebrows. Counselor, did you know about this? Your Honor, I've never seen that document. It was submitted in discovery last week, Lydia said coolly. Perhaps it got lost in your office. I glanced down at the email. Cassie spoke with our title attorney. The Flint parcel is not abandoned. Owner paying taxes since 2019. Adverse possession won't hold. But if we move fast, file AP, get permits, start selling lots before anyone notices, we can bury Flint in litigation. Worst case, we build everything, file bankruptcy, let title insurance handle it. We've done this before. Aspen Project 2019. They'd known from day one. They knew they were stealing my land. Lydia's voice cut through the silence. This proves the defendants engaged in intentional fraud. They weaponized the legal system against a man they thought couldn't fight back. And for the first time, I saw fear flicker across Cassandra Whitmore's face. Judge Ramirez looked up from the file, her gaze sharp enough to slice through steel. Mr. Whitmore. Mrs. Whitmore. Is this email authentic? Preston started to rise, but his lawyer grabbed his arm. Your Honor, we need to consult with our clients. That sounds like a yes. The judge interrupted, closing the folder with a finality that echoed through the courtroom. Here's what's going to happen. Motion to dismiss, denied. This case is proceeding to trial under an expedited schedule. In the meantime, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order. Whitmore Development will cease all sales, marketing, or transfers of any Ridgeline Heights property pending resolution. She turned to Cassandra, voice low and lethal. And Mrs. Whitmore, if I see one more Facebook post, one more anonymous tip to code enforcement, or one more threat directed at Mr. Flint, I will hold you in contempt. Are we clear? Cassandra's confidence cracked. Her face strained of color. Yes, Your Honor, she whispered. Outside, the cold air bit my cheeks, but I was smiling for the first time in months. Lydia caught up to me, coffee in hand and that unstoppable spark in her eyes. That email, she said, came from a whistleblower. One of Preston's old business partners. He got burned in the Aspen deal, been waiting 5 years to get even. How'd you find him? She smiled. I'm very good at my job. That night, I sat on my back porch with a bottle of whiskey I couldn't afford and snow falling like ash around me. My phone buzzed every few minutes. Emma, my son Tyler, Marcus from Wyoming, even my ex-wife Jennifer. Each one said the same thing. Heard you had a good day in court. But the message that mattered most came from Lydia at 9:47 p.m. My office. 10 a.m. Bring coffee. We're building the kill shot. I showed up the next morning at 9:30, 2 coffees and a box of donuts in hand. Lydia's conference room looked like a war room, a giant whiteboard filled with names, arrows, and circles connecting everything like a spider web of corruption. You brought donuts, she said, grabbing a glazed one. I like you more already. What's all this? This, she said, tapping the board, is how we turn your property dispute into a criminal case. She circled Preston's name. The email was the grenade. Now we bring the artillery. Lydia and her paralegal had spent the entire night digging. 7 developments. All in Colorado mountain towns. All the same pattern: find elderly owners, file aggressive claims, flip the land, and let insurance companies clean up the mess. They're not developers, Lydia said. They're land pirates with LLCs. But what made my case different was evidence. My grandfather's ledgers, handwritten since 1971. Every fence repair, tax receipt, survey map, and photograph with GPS stamps. They couldn't erase that. Here's the plan, Lydia said, writing on her yellow pad. Phase 1, Discovery. We depose Preston, Cassandra, their title company, their lender, and every contractor who pulled a permit. Someone always cracks. Phase 2, RICO. I blinked. Like the mafia thing? Exactly. Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. If we prove this was a pattern of fraud, it goes federal. That means triple damages. I swallowed hard. What's that add up to? She scribbled a number. $16.3 million. They can't pay that, I said. No, she grinned. Which is why they'll settle. But even if Whitmore Development collapses, the lenders will come for their personal assets. Houses, cars, bank accounts, everything. What do you need from me? 3 things, Lydia said, leaning forward. First, I need your full timeline. Every visit to the property, every witness, every conversation. You've been keeping a log? Since September. Smart. Second, allies. Anyone they've burned. Contractors, neighbors, ex-employees. I want names. I thought of Rick Polson, the inspector who'd mentioned 6 prior complaints. I know where to start, I said. Third, publicity. But not Facebook. That's Cassandra's playground. We're talking news. I have a contact at Channel 9, Patricia Hughes. 2-time Emmy winner. She eats corporate fraud for breakfast. You want me on TV? I want us on TV, she said. You, me, and every family those crooks exploited. When this is done, they'll own their homes, and Cassandra will own nothing but legal bills. She handed me a folder. Preston's deposition, January 18th, Cassandra's, the week after. I want you in the room for both. Let them see your face when the truth hits. I nodded. When this is over, how much will I owe you? Less than you think, Lydia said with a smirk. Because when we win, they pay the legal fees. I walked out of her office feeling something I hadn't felt in months: purpose. January 18th, 9 a.m. A glass-walled conference room overlooking the snow-tipped Rockies. Preston walked in wearing a charcoal suit and arrogance like armor. The stenographer swore him in. Lydia started slow: name, occupation, business address. Then she slid the printed email across the table. Mr. Whitmore, do you recognize this? I do. Did you write it? Yes. So you knew in February 2022 that Dakota Flint was the legal owner of the Old Mill Road property? His lawyer tried to object, but Lydia didn't even blink. Your Honor granted discovery, he answers. Preston hesitated. I knew someone named Flint was listed in records, but our title company advised. Which title company? Rocky Mountain Title Group. Lydia wrote it down slowly, like carving the words into stone. By the end of the morning, Preston had contradicted himself 4 times. By noon, he was sweating through his shirt. When it was over, his attorney, Diane, lingered behind. Your client should settle, she said. Your client should have thought of that before committing fraud, Lydia replied. Name a number. 10 million, Lydia said flatly. Plus full restitution, resignation from every board, and public apology. Diane gave a bitter laugh. He'll never agree, Lydia smiled. Then we'll see him in court. With Channel 9 watching. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Tyler, my son, voice trembling. Dad, someone came to the restaurant tonight. My heart dropped. Who? A guy in a suit. Said he was a private investigator, looking into you. And just like that, the war had officially begun. Tyler's voice trembled through the phone. Dad, the guy came to my work. Said he was a private investigator. Asked my manager if I'd ever been violent, if there was anything he should know about me. After he left, my boss pulled me aside, said if there's something I need to tell him, I could lose my job. I shut my eyes. What was his name? Thomas Brennan. Apex Investigations. I wrote it down. Listen to me, son. Don't talk to him again. If he comes back, tell him to contact my attorney. I'll handle it. After we hung up, I called Lydia. Straight to voicemail. My message probably sounded half-crazed. She called back an hour later, voice calm as ice. I know. They hired a PI, textbook intimidation. He went after your son because they can't touch you directly. That's witness tampering, which is a felony. Forward me the business card photo. I'll file an emergency motion first thing tomorrow. But the hits kept coming. January 23rd, my inbox pinged with a new email. IRS notice of audit. They were reviewing my last 3 years of returns for irregularities reported by a third party. I was a W-2 employee. No offshore accounts. No side business. This wasn't an audit. It was a weapon. I forwarded it to Lydia. She called within minutes. They're panicking. This is what rich people do when the walls close in, throw money at problems until the problems go away. It's working, I said quietly. I can't afford an IRS fight on top of this case. You won't have to. The complaint's anonymous, but we'll subpoena Apex Investigations client records. If Whitmore hired them to file a fake IRS tip, that's another felony. She paused. Dakota, desperate people make mistakes. They're making plenty. January 25th, the first crack appeared. Someone leaked the Ridgeline Heights sales contracts to a Boulder real estate blog. All 96 homes. Prices between $450,000 and $530,000. Headline. Luxury developers sold homes on stolen land. Buyers could lose everything. My phone exploded. Panicked emails. Missed calls. A woman named Sarah Chin finally got through, sobbing. She'd used her life savings for house number 67. Now, her title insurance company was refusing to honor the claim. Please, Mr. Flint. I have 2 kids. We moved here from California. This was supposed to be our forever home. I swallowed hard. I'm not trying to take your house. I'm trying to stop the people who stole from both of us. But if you win, do we get evicted? No, I said. You'll own your home. The developers will pay for it. And if they couldn't? I had no answer. That night, Lydia called. Channel 9 wants to interview you. Patricia Hughes, investigative reporter. She's doing a segment on predatory land developers. It airs February 2nd, a week before trial. What do I say? The truth. That you're fighting for your grandfather's legacy. That you're not the villain, the Whitmores are. And that every family in Ridgeline Heights deserves to keep their home. I thought of Sarah's trembling voice. Set it up, I said. January 30th. Patricia Hughes arrived at 2 p.m., mid-40s, gray-streaked ponytail, jeans, and a blazer that said I don't scare easy. She shook my hand firmly. I've covered real estate fraud for 12 years, Mr. Flint. Yours might be the boldest I've ever seen. Her cameraman, Steve, filled my living room with lights so bright it looked like a film set. I'd spent the morning cleaning like a man preparing for Judgment Day, laundry stuffed in closets, dishes hidden under the sink. Patricia sat across from me. Let's start with your grandfather. The land? And what happened when you found the development? We talked for 90 minutes. I told her everything: the ledgers, Cassandra's Facebook lies, Preston's email, the families caught in the crossfire. She listened, sharp but kind, never interrupting. When the camera finally stopped rolling, she said, "Off the record, I called Cassandra for comment. And? She threatened to sue me for defamation." I blinked. "So you'll still run it?" Patricia smiled. "Threats mean I'm close to the truth. Of course we're running it." February 2nd, 6 p.m. The segment aired. Patricia's voice carried through my quiet living room. He inherited the American dream, 47 acres of Colorado forest. But when Dakota Flint returned to his land, he found a nightmare instead. Aerial shots of ridgeline heights filled the screen, the rows of shiny new homes sitting on stolen soil. Then came my interview, Grandpa's deed, the tax receipts, and the infamous email. Patricia had even dug up campaign donations, $50,000 from Whitmore Development to the county commissioner's re-election fund. Proof of corruption broadcast live. It ended with my voice, steady but raw. "I'm not trying to hurt the families who bought those homes. They're victims too. But if people like the Whitmores get away with this, what's the point of property rights? What's the point of laws?" The phone rang nonstop. Emma crying, but this time from pride. Marcus texting, "You just became a folk hero." Even my boss emailed, "Come back Monday. We're proud to have you." But the message that chilled me came at 7:15 p.m. A blocked number. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." I forwarded it to Lydia. She called back immediately. "Don't go anywhere alone. Change your routes. Keep your doors locked." "You think they'd actually?" "I think they're staring down 10 years in federal prison," she said. "People do stupid things when they're cornered." She was right. February 4th, 2 days after the broadcast, I came home from grocery shopping to find my front door slightly open. I'd locked it that morning. I was sure. My stomach dropped. I stepped back, heart pounding, and called 911. Deputy Torres arrived with backup. They cleared the house, guns drawn. Nothing was stolen. But on the kitchen table lay a single sheet of paper. 5 words. "Drop it or lose everything." Torres bagged it as evidence. "If they were smart, they wore gloves," he said. This was them. I muttered. "The Whitmores. Can you prove it?" I couldn't. But 2 hours later there was a knock at my door. My neighbor Carol, 70 years old, retired librarian, trembling. She said, "I think I saw something last night." The hallway outside courtroom 3C was chaos. Lawyers packing up files, reporters whispering into phones, homeowners crying or pacing or hugging strangers. Sarah Chen grabbed my arm. "What happens to us?" she asked, eyes red, voice trembling. I didn't have a perfect answer. "If justice works the way it should, you'll keep your homes. All of you." She nodded, tears streaming silently. Across the hall, Cassandra and Preston swept out surrounded by their legal team. Preston's face was ghost white, his jaw tight. Cassandra avoided my eyes, the first time she'd ever looked afraid. Lydia leaned close. "They know they've lost," she whispered. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me flinch: the hum of the fridge, the creak of Emma's apartment floorboards, the faint wind scratching at the windows. I replayed Lydia's opening words in my head, over and over. They picked the wrong victim. Morning came gray and heavy. February 10th. The day of the verdict. I put on the same wrinkled suit and drove back to Boulder with Emma beside me. Neither of us spoke. When we walked into the courtroom, the air felt electric, tense, charged. Reporters filled the benches. Patricia Hughes sat with her notebook open, pen poised. Judge Ramirez entered, gavel echoing. She didn't waste time. "After reviewing all evidence, testimony, and exhibits, this court finds the defendants The room held its breath. Guilty of fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and filing false property claims. Gasps. Then silence. Ramirez continued, voice firm. The Whitmore Development Group's claim of adverse possession is hereby voided. The 47-acre parcel is lawfully and permanently restored to Mr. Dakota Flint. My knees went weak. Lydia squeezed my arm, whispering, "We did it." The judge wasn't finished. Additionally, restitution is ordered for affected homeowners. The defendants will forfeit all corporate and personal assets necessary to compensate victims. The matter of criminal charges is referred to the district attorney. Cassandra slumped in her chair. Preston stared at the floor, defeated. Reporters rushed toward me as I left the courthouse. Flashbulbs popped. Voices shouted questions. "Mr. Flint, how does it feel?" I didn't answer. I just looked up at the gray sky and thought of Grandpa, his land, his ledgers, his stubborn, quiet pride. It was finally over. The hallway outside courtroom 3C erupted, not with chaos this time, but applause. Dozens of homeowners, people I'd never met before this fight, were clapping, some crying, some smiling through tears. "If you win, do we lose our homes?" Sarah Chen's voice trembled. I looked at Lydia. She nodded once. "You keep your homes," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Every single one of you. The Whitmores committed fraud, not you. You'll own your houses free and clear." The applause rolled like thunder down the marble hallway. Cassandra walked past, flanked by her attorneys, her face carved in fury. She glanced at me once, pure hatred, before disappearing into the elevator. Outside, Patricia Hughes was waiting, microphone in hand. "Mr. Flint, how are you feeling?" I looked at Emma beside me, then at the Rockies in the distance, snow-capped, endless, steady. "Like my grandfather's watching," I said. "And he's proud." That clip went viral overnight. 3 million views in 12 hours. By morning, Judge Ramirez's written ruling made it official. We won everything. The document was 18 pages long, but the first paragraph said it all. The defendants engaged in a calculated, systematic scheme to defraud Dakota Flint of his lawful property. Such conduct is reprehensible and will not be tolerated by this court. Full ownership of the land, restored. $4.2 million in damages. Legal fees covered. Federal charges referred to the U.S. Attorney. Within a week, Ridgeline Capital dissolved. Preston was indicted. Cassandra took a plea deal, probation, restitution, and a lifetime ban from Colorado real estate. The title company lost its license. The lawyers scattered. But one question haunted me: what about the 96 families? I could have forced them out, sold the homes myself, made millions more. But that's not what Grandpa taught me. So, on March 15th, I called a town hall meeting at Ridgeline Heights. All 96 families came: the teachers, nurses, electricians, retirees. They filled the unfinished clubhouse Cassandra had promised but never built. I stood at the front, Lydia beside me. "You bought homes in good faith," I said. "You did nothing wrong. I'm not here to punish you for someone else's crime." The room went still. "Here's what I'm proposing. I'm transferring ownership of all 96 homes to a new nonprofit, the Ridgeline Heights Community Trust. Each of you will own your home at the price you already paid. No mortgages. No interest. No tricks." Someone gasped. Sarah Chin started crying. Then applause again, this time louder, unstoppable. An elderly man, Mr. Rodriguez, shook my hand so hard I nearly lost my balance. "You're a good man. Your grandfather raised you right." That night, for the first time in years, I slept without fear. By September, we'd launched the William Flint Memorial Scholarship, $10,000 every year for Colorado students studying forestry or environmental science. I kept 5 acres for myself, the old-growth pines Grandpa refused to log. Built a small cabin there. 2 bedrooms, just enough. Now, every morning smells like pine and coffee. Deer graze outside my window. Emma visits with her law student boyfriend. Even Jennifer, My ex-wife, Kane, once said she was proud of me. Patricia Hughes' follow-up segment aired in December. From property theft to community triumph, how one man turned injustice into legacy. It won her another Emmy. Last week, Sarah Chin's daughter drew me a crayon picture, a house, a stick figure labeled Mr. Dakota, holding a giant deed. It's on my fridge now, held by a Colorado magnet. Sometimes I look at Grandpa's note. Don't let the bastards take what's yours. He was right. But what's mine isn't just land. It's peace. It's purpose. It's knowing that 96 families sleep safely because I didn't quit. So here's my question. Have you ever faced someone who thought they could crush you because they had money, and you didn't? Tell me your story in the comments. Let's build a library of how regular people beat corrupt systems. And if this story reminded you that good people can still win, hit subscribe. Because next week's story? City Council denied my business permit. So I found the bylaw that made me untouchable. See you then. And remember, keep your receipts. All of them.